Alright, so another soil experiment video. We are doing, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pots of different soils. So we've got a control pot, this is the current soil mix I'm using, which I could easily change in the future, but for now it's working. And now that is 50% of this, roughly, is scoria, perlite, biochar, zeolite, some zeolite, biochar, sheep poo, scoria, perlite, and gypsum, and a bit of rock dust, volcanic rock dust go into this one. And the organic part of it is just some of this. It's used for turf top dressing, but it seems like not terribly too bad. It does have a decent amount of wood in there, like sticks and bark, but it's the best I can get at the moment. And so it seems to be working. I mean, the stuff I previously used was worse than this. Like, that looks really bad there. But if you dig and it's not terrible. But yeah, I don't want to be using this. I'd probably use something a bit with less bark. But that's the control for the moment anyway, because that's what all of those are potted up with. So we've got our control. We've got native soil. So this is just soil on the farm, and it's been raining a lot. So it's like super wet. Let's get this on the normal one here. Quite muddy, but it's also very sandy. So that is just basically as if I'm planting in the ground, but obviously, yes, it's in the pot. So that's one. And so these seedlings here are going to be going into these pots. These are all Pacanois, Davy, VMP, Dat2, Dane, from Ross Garau, seeds from him that I grew myself. So I'll be putting about 5 of these seedlings in each, and we'll see how we go. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet, but we'll sort that out later. So we've got the native soil, we got rock soil. So the rock soil is looking kind of like this. Like, there's a bit of soily kind of stuff. But then there's heaps of like rocks in it, decent sized rocks as well. So that's another area of soil that I have. So that is the same as this. And that is just, seedlings going straight in that. Then we got clay. Now, it is clay. So, yeah, I'm putting seedlings straight in that. We'll see how that goes. I would assume they're just going to die, but we'll see. And so then we got rock soil again, but this time putting amendments in. So it's going to go gypsum, volcanic rock dust, sheep poo just for some nutrients and microbial activity, biochar, and zeolite. Now, if you want to know more about these details, literally just Google search because I cannot relay information. Just Google search what all of these are good for in soils, and it's pretty straightforward. But all these will be going to this. I'm not adding any scoria or perlite because I'm expecting the rocks to sort of do the job of them. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Then we got the native soil again, the sandy one that's quite wet at the moment. But I remember when it was dry, it was very hard. Like, this soil gets kind of hydrophobic. So it'll be interesting how this goes. But with this one, it's all the same over there. But it's gypsum, biochar, sheep poo, zeolite, perlite, and scoria. So I'm adding these two in extra on this one because there's no rocks. It's just like this sandy soil mix. So the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to see if I could replace my own soil. Instead of using this stuff, I could use this, but with the stuff that I add to it. And that is to see if I could do that without having to use these two. And then we got, again, the straight clay. But I'm going to try my best to put all the same amendments as this one in as well. So I'm going to have to try and, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll just like mash it together and see what I can do. Yeah. So I've decided I'm going to use the Danes because just judging from all of this, they seem the most consistent. There are a few like quite tall ones, but there's like quite a few of them. But then you got Davy, and they're quite small, and I don't know. Same as VMP, you got a lot of small ones here, but then bigger ones over here. So I'm thinking I want something as consistent as possible. Now I know this experiment isn't going to be conclusive and perfect and it's definitive. I think the best way to do that is if I had a clone and I cut perfect size sections, dried them all at the same rate, they had the same conditions, rooted them at the same time, and then all planted them in this and tried to, do it all the best I can. But so this is very an amateur experiment. So I'm just doing what I think's fun and interesting, and whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. That's why I'm going to be doing 5 seedlings per pot. So at least if one of them's a slow grower, hopefully the other 4 will make up for that, and you'll be able to see like if the whole pot is stunted and that whole pot is not, well then, you can kind of guess that one of them is not as good as the other. So I'm going to separate these. I'm going to be using the Dane, and this pot goes into sort of a quad. So once I pull it apart, that quarter is all Dane, and I'll pop these up later. So yeah. All right. So who knows if this is already going to be flawed, but I've selected 35 for 5 each in every pot, and that's from this batch. And from that whole quarter of, Dane, these are all the pretty bad ones. These are all right, but still have like fungal marks or rot or something, and these are the best. So my recent video was all about watching my cactus die, kind of like this. If they rot, they rot. If they die, they die. If they're just not strong enough to move on in life, then I don't want to waste my time potting them up at this size compared to that is insane, and the roots have rotted. Why would I wait for that to root and try and grow again? Anyway. So I think these are the best, especially for this experiment, because in this pot, it's been wet for a long time. They've been very compacted. They've faced pretty harsh conditions. So if these guys can handle that, they're probably the best suitable for these pots. Now, I would have liked them to be in slightly better condition, but I mean, like some of these, they're pretty spotless. You can see there's a slight rot there. But like compared to some of these guys, like, all these have no roots. They've all rotted off. That's all got rot. That guy's got a bunch of rot at the bottom. That guy's rotted. Yeah, so it'd be silly to be putting these guys in these experimental pots because they're just going to rot and die straight away. And so those are the best. And then these ones are alright. Like there's a couple big guys here too. But he has these marks, which I'm not too concerned about that there. But he is like rotting a fair bit. Let me get the zoom in on again. Like it doesn't look the best down there. Same as this guy. So I don't want to put those into the experimental pots, but now also because of they've been in this wet, they probably need to dry a bit. I am going to plant them in these pots, but I'm going to leave them here under this shelter so they're not going to get any rain on. So the soil, but they get plenty of sun. Like in this position, lots of sun. So they should dry out in a week or so. And once they have dried out long enough in these pots in this position, I will then move them out there into those conditions and we'll see what survives, what thrives, and what dies. But yeah, we'll see what happens with these. But these are all pretty good. Like, in those conditions, hardly any marks on them. So I'm very happy. And so I haven't mixed these yet so that you guys can see how much materials I'm putting in. I haven't measured these out. It's honestly just handfuls of stuff. I'm estimating how much I usually put in my control pots. So gypsum, again, that's getting mixed in. We got rock dust mixed in, sheep poo, biochar, and zeolite. So that's that one. I'll put that out of the way there. And all I'm going to do is just give it a thorough mixing. Alright, that is rock soil amendments number 4. I reckon I'll do alright because there is a bit of like a sandy soil there, so I reckon they'll be alright. Then we got our clay. So I think that's too much clay for that pot, so I'm gonna put this in the pot first, and then I'm gonna put clay on top of it so that I get the right level, and then I'll mix. So I've got all my amendments and mineral and whatever else in there. So I'm gonna chuck in the clay until it's at about the top. I'm just doing this to measure how much I'm going to need. Yeah, okay, it's actually almost all of it. And it's not, you know, super compact, but yeah. So now that I'm going to tip this out and mix. It's very hard to mix, so it's going to take a bit of time. So I've got this technique now. It's still taking a ridiculously long time. But I've got to squeeze it and shape it into a long little sausage, and then I'm just breaking it off. And then once I've broken it off into these pieces, that's when I'm going to mix in all the amendments all over here, because otherwise I don't think I'm going to get it evenly mixed. I mean, even this isn't going to be fully evenly mixed, but this is the best I can do. Alright, so this is where we're at now. This is the clay. And it's just all broken up a bit, so I think this will actually work alright. As long as the seedlings can get past that small seedling stage, I reckon they'll do alright, because there's going to be plenty of air pockets in this. And then we got the native soil mix that was quite sandy. I've put my amendments in that as well with the perlite and scoria and the other stuff. It's looking all right. All right, we are good to go. We got our control there. I just soaked it so that it's similar to the others because all the rest are really, really wet. So I thought I better make this one wet as well. So that's soaked. The clay, straight clay, I don't think that's going to do very well. We'll see. Clay amendments, and so that's the clay that I put into the balls or just ripped pieces off, and then I mixed in all my stuff. That might do alright if the seedlings can get past the transitional stage. Rock soil, so this is just a bit of like dirt, rock kind of stuff. I think they'll do alright in that. Native soil with amendments, that I think they'll do pretty good. Which is rock soil with amendments, and native soil might be alright, might be lacking nutrients. And yeah, the control, I mean, they'll grow, they should do. This is my soil mix, so I hope they go alright. Unlike my other experiment, we'll have to talk about that later. And so then I've got, these are the seedlings here that I pulled out, and those are the bad ones. So I've pulled out the 7 best, 7 second best, from size, 7, the biggest, 7, under that, 7, 7, and 7. So these are the 7 smallest. So I take one from each of these and put it in the pot for each of them. So then it's pretty even. One pot isn't going to have the biggest and one pot isn't going to have the smallest. They all have the same amount of sizes in them. So 5 of these. So there's 7 going here. No, that's wrong. No, that is right. Okay, let's pot them up now. All right, we are done. We've got our rock soil with amendments, native soil with amendments, clay soil with amendments, our control, straight clay, rock soil, and the native soil. I feel like they're all pretty even. I don't think any of them have an advantage point in terms of genetics. So yeah, hopefully we get some really interesting results. So I'm going to be leaving these undercover so that, because the clay is pretty wet. I mean, they're all pretty wet except for the rock soil. But I'll leave them under here so they're not getting drenched by rain, because we are supposed to get rain in a couple of weeks' time. So let them dry in here. Once I think they're settled in here, I will put them out. But yeah, they will all have, as best as I can do, the same conditions. Also, leave a comment what you reckon is going to do the best and what you reckon is going to do the worst. I won't hate you if you put my soil mix as the worst, because it is possible. I personally think the clay will do the worst. Maybe the native soil, probably the clay. And the best, I believe, I don't know, I want to say my soil mix, but it really could be the native soil with my amendments or the rock soil with amendments. or even clay. I think these will really struggle in the beginning, but in maybe a couple years, 1 to 2 years, the clay with the amendments might come through in the lead in terms of health quality, size, and growth. But yeah, so this isn't just an experiment for a few months. This is a years-long experiment. So I'll do an update in a few months in growing season, and another one in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, and so on. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes about.